The Red Sox didn't lose their series against the Orioles. I think that's a win. They also promoted one of their fastest rising stars. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Like I just said, the Red Sox didn't technically lose their series against the Baltimore Orioles. They split it, taking 2 out of 4 games, officially putting them at 65-58 on the season, which brought them to 7.5 games back of first place. And unfortunately for the Sox, despite the fact they didn't technically lose this series, they didn't win it either and are now 3.5 games back of a wild card spot. But I do think there is a lot of really positive things to take out of this series that I think should give Red Sox fans some hope. Plus, the Red Sox also made a decision last night that puts one of their higher possible impact players one step closer towards Major League Baseball. So we're going to talk about all of it right here in today's video. We're going to talk about the promotion, we're going to talk about the series, and of course, we're going to talk about how all of it affects the Boston Red Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. All right, so I think it's only right that we start with the latest news here surrounding the Boston Red Sox, and that is later last night, the Red Sox decided it was time to promote number 4, I would say top 5 prospect, depending on where you look, in the Red Sox system, Kristian Campbell, up to join the Big 3 in AAA Worcester, and Kristian was absolutely deserving of this promotion. In fact, he was promoted faster than any of the Big 3 were, and it was because he was putting up absolute video game numbers in AA. In 55 games at the AA level, he had a 364 average, a 466 on base percentage, and a 589 slug, good for a 197 WRC, plus about 97% better than the average hitter in that league. He also had 17 doubles, 3 triples, and 8 home runs during that time as well. And if that isn't enough to get you excited about Kristian Campbell, this is also a dude who is walking almost as much as he was striking out. He stole 17 bases in just 55 games at the AA level, and defensively, this dude is doing all of that offensively while playing 2 of the most premier positions on the diamond. In AA, he spent time at both second base, shortstop, and center field, and honestly, he did all of them pretty well. There are very few errors on his back of his baseball card right now, and that is a really great sign. This is an unbelievably athletic player who, again, was putting up absolute video game numbers in AA, and I think it's officially time for Red Sox fans to stop saying the Big 3 and start saying the Big 4. This guy is right on par with some of these top prospects the Boston Red Sox have. He's moving up into the upper numbers of top 100 prospect lists. He's popping up on guys to watch lists. This is a dude that could be one of the higher ceiling prospects the Red Sox have in their system, and now he's one step closer towards Major League Baseball. It is pretty incredible, to be honest with you, that we've been talking about this Red Sox player pool in their minor league system for years now, right? It's sort of been, we're going to wait for this farm system to develop until we have the next great Red Sox team, and for a very long time, it's felt like that was always a pipe dream, or that was always a really long ways away. Well, at the Major League level this year, you're getting major contributions from players who have come up through that minor league system, and now you have the top 4, top 5, depending on where you look, prospects in this system just one step away from Major League Baseball. You are getting them on the verge of really making an impact on this team. If the guys on the Red Sox right now are making the impact that they have, we're just sort of scratching the surface as to what this minor league system could produce, and we're only a step away from seeing what the rest of the surface looks like, and that to me is a unbelievably encouraging sign. Kristian Campbell absolutely deserved this promotion to AAA. He's starting to become a really big household name in terms of Red Sox prospects, and it's going to make things really interesting over the next year and a half for the Red Sox, because now it becomes, where do you fit all these guys on the Major League roster? This is 4 big possible impact type players. Are these going to be guys who make it with the Red Sox? Are these going to be guys who end up being traded for a big piece? If they do end up with the Red Sox, where do they fit on this team? What position do they play? What order do they play in? It's going to be a lot of fascinating conversations that we're going to have about these guys, but that's still a ways away. So for now, let's just enjoy the fact that the Red Sox biggest prospects are absolutely raking in the minor leagues right now, making themselves better and getting closer towards Major League Baseball. And speaking of Major League Baseball, let's go over a series, huh? But before we do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's break down the latest series. Again, like I said in the intro, despite the fact that the Red Sox lost 2 out of 4 games in this series, I think the fact that they split with the Baltimore Orioles, who's a team that has been absolutely owning you this year, is a win in and of itself. And I also think there's some really positive, possible potential takeaways from this series that start with the starting pitching. Bello was an performance, right? He went 5 innings. He allowed 3 runs on 3 hits. He walked 1 and struck out 6. It's one of those starts where you're like, all right, you don't hate it. It keeps you in the game. It's sort of exactly what you want from Nick Pivetta, maybe just a little bit further into a baseball game. Cooper Criswell certainly did not give the Red Sox a positive start. He ended up going 3 1/3 innings. He allowed 6 earned on 9 hits with 4 walks and a singular strikeout. Now, I will say he didn't technically start this game, and I think that's because he's still dealing with the residual side effects of COVID-19. So I'm just going to sort of chalk this start up to that and hope that his next start is much better and he is much healthier and ready to go, because this rotation really needs that dude to, at the bare minimum, be able to keep this team in games. My favorite highlight of this series, and the one that gives me a lot of hope, is what Brayan Bello was able to do in the third game, because Brayan Bello had maybe the best start of his season. It's up there for sure. He ended up going 6 innings. He allowed just 1 earned run. He only allowed 2 hits. This was a no-hitter that was brought into, I believe, the 5th inning. He did still walk 3 and he struck out 6. Regardless of the walks, that is now a stretch of really great starts from Brayan Bello. I was kind of jokingly hoping his new dad strength would push him back into the player that we knew he could be. I don't know if that's entirely wrong at this point. He's been fantastic since coming back from the paternity list, and he's been great for a little bit now. Over his last 5 starts, he has a 3.21 ERA and an opponent OPS of just 698. This is the dude that we've been saying for months that needs to get it together, that needs to be the starter that we know and love if this team wants to do absolutely anything. If the Red Sox want to make the postseason, Brayan Bello has to be a big part of that. And what you're seeing right now from Brayan Bello is him being a big part of that, is him being a reason why this team is winning baseball games. Brayan Bello saved the bullpen. He gave the Red Sox a start that they needed, and he was absolutely fantastic. To me, this is one of the biggest positives of this entire series. Cutter Crawford, just to finish off the stat lines for you, didn't exactly have a great start, but it's another one of those starts where his performance doesn't really match his final stat line. He ended up going 5 1/3 innings where he allowed 3 runs on just 2 hits. He only walked 1 and he struck out 4. If it wasn't for Bailey Horn giving up a home run to the first batter he faced when he came in, Cutter Crawford's night probably looks a whole lot different on paper. However, I will say this is now the second start in a row where Cutter's looked dominant and then pretty immediately loses everything in that 6th inning. He can't really be a 5 and dive player at this point with the state that the bullpen is in. You need him to be able to get through 6 innings on occasion. He's just not doing that right now. And speaking of the bullpen, brutal, right? There were some brutal bullpen moments in this series. I would say Luis Garcia, probably one of the worst pickups at the deadline, I think, in all of Major League Baseball right now. This dude just simply can't keep the ball in the yard and can't stop runners from scoring. It's like he totally forgot how to throw a baseball. It is absolutely brutal out there. Bailey Horn, like I said, can't stop giving up homers. He had some rough outings in this series, but at the same time, too, with the bullpen, there were signs of life here. Chris Martin looked fantastic. Kenley Jansen continues to look fantastic. Lucas Sims got the Sox out of a couple of different really big spots in this series, basically unharmed. You've got Liam Hendricks coming back. You've got Justin Slayton coming back. I don't know. I mean, I know Luis Garcia has been absolutely miserable, and that's looking like a really wasted trade on the Red Sox part, but you're starting to get some reinforcements here. I have hope that this bullpen can get better and will be better over the next couple of weeks. As for the hitting, there were a couple of really standout performances in this one. You had Masataka Masataka Yoshida, who had at least one hit in every single game. He also had a homer and a 4 RBI game in here as well, and he's just flat out been on fire lately. I mean, for everyone to have said, oh, this guy's useless, this guy, I can't believe we have a DH that can't hit above league average. He's got a 120 plus ERA plus. That is a ton of production from the DH spot. That's a ton of production for Masataka Yoshida, and he's coming up in some really big spots and absolutely delivering, feels like almost every single time lately. So hands up, Masa's proving a lot of people wrong right now, and it's fun to watch. Rafael Devers has been really productive in this series. He had 2 homers, 5 RBIs, and 2 doubles. He has been striking out a bit more lately than he normally has, and you could tell that he is absolutely battling through something out there. This is a dude who really could use a couple of days off, but he doesn't want to take them because he wants this team to win. And while he's striking out more, probably because of that, he's also still being one of the more productive players on this team and still having the best season of his career. So I really don't want to hear anything about Rafael Devers. This dude is putting himself basically on the line here to push this team into a playoff position. I love every single second of it. Also, is there a way he can just use that crayon colored bat the entirety of the rest of the season? He absolutely rakes with it. I don't know if he could just use it and eat the fine. I think he could afford that if he really wanted to. But outside of that, you had big performances in games throughout this series from different players on the offensive side of things. You had a Jarren Duran game mixed in here where he had a home run and 3 hits. He also robbed a home run in this series. That was really awesome. His second robbery of the year. The dude is playing a really great center field. You had David Hamilton with a home run game in this one. He's also developing, I would say, a bit more at the shortstop position. He made some really solid plays in this series as well, which is a really good sign that he's continuing to develop in Major League Baseball. Him and Duran were on a really hard skid lately. They really pulled themselves out of it nicely, and they've both gotten back to being very productive in this lineup. You had Willie Abreu with a home run game in this series. He just continues to mash. It feels like once a game, every game, he's got a really big hit, at least the ones that he's playing in. So shout out Willie Abreu, and the offense is only getting better. I mean, we talked about it in yesterday's video. You had Tristan Casas come back, 5 hits in total since coming back from the IL. You've got Tyler O'Neill, who did have a rough game yesterday, but just simply having him back in this lineup makes the rest of this lineup better. I mean, offensively, yes, there were games in this series that felt like you probably could have won had you scored more runs with runners in scoring position, but I don't think that's going to be a problem consistently through the rest of the year. I think what you're seeing is just simply sort of getting beat by a pitcher, right? And that's going to happen with this Red Sox offense, but you're scoring runs. You're still scoring a whole bunch of runs, and you got to appreciate them for that. Could they have been better with runners in scoring position? Absolutely. Do I think they were totally the reason the Red Sox didn't win this series? No, I don't think they were the absolute reason, but this was the first series in a while I think the pitching did its job enough where you should have been in a position to win, and you just simply couldn't get yourself there. Again, I don't think that's going to become a trend. Overall, taking a look at this series as a whole, I think there's a lot of positive to take out of it. Again, I understand they didn't win this series, but the Orioles have absolutely shoved it down your throats the entire season, and for you to come out there and sort of match them, sort of be like, hey, no, we could hang around with you guys. We could play ball with you guys. We aren't just some sort of people who are going to lay down and die for you. We're going to fight against you. And they did. And I think that's a really big confidence booster for this team to not lose this series, despite the fact that, yes, you are in a worse position playoff-wise coming out of this one. I really like and I really get a little bit hopeful about who this Sox team could be if you look at some of the specifics that went down in this series. Over the next 6 games, you're going to be playing the Astros and the Diamondbacks, who are the hottest team in the AL and the hottest team in the NL, and you got to come out of that still alive and maybe even barely breathing here, where you're just sort of limping out of those. If you could do that, we've got a really interesting situation on our hands because the Royals have a really, really tough next couple of weeks. The Red Sox, they ease up just a little bit. It's going to be a bloodbath. And one thing we know is that this team just simply does not stop fighting. It's what they showed in this series. It's what they've been showing all year. And while we could sit here and nitpick all the little things that went wrong in this series, I think I'm going to sit here and say that this was a confidence boost that they needed to really get themselves in a position to make a run here. But that's just my opinion opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think about this? What do you think about the offense? What do you think about the defense? And what do you think about the promotion of Kristian Campbell to AAA baseball? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox news in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch, make sure you guys head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.